Well, the big story then, which broke last evening, and India and Canada have expelled their top envoys along with other diplomats as the row between the two countries intensifies over last year's assassination of a Sikh separatist on Canadian soil. Canadian police has accused Indian agents of involvement in homicides, extortion and violent acts and targeting supporters of the pro-Khalistan movement, which seeks a separate homeland for Sikhs in India. Delhi, in fact, has rejected the allegations as preposterous, accusing Trudeau of pandering to Canada's large Sikh community for political gains. Let's hear out first what the Canadian Prime Minister had to say about this.
We don't want to be having this fight, but obviously the killing of a Canadian on Canadian soil is not something that we can ignore as a country. So every step of the way, we have apprised India of what we know. I've spoken directly with Prime Minister Modi. We have engaged with intelligence counterparts. And unfortunately, every step of the way, both after I made the statement in the House of Commons last September and till now, the response of the Indian government has been to deny, to obfuscate, to attack me personally and the integrity of the Government of Canada and its officials and its police agencies.
All right, let's take forth this conversation then, and joining in on the discussion we have KP Fabian, former ambassador, as well as Mr. Jayant Dasgupta, former ambassador of India to WTO, joining in. To begin with, Mr. Fabian, just wanted to get in your take on the diplomatic row that has only escalated. I don't think this was a precedented move, and how are you looking at the war of words between Justin Trudeau and the Indian counterpart?
Well, thank you. It is most unfortunate that this diplomatic row is taking place between Canada and India. And to my mind, it is my hope and prayer that both governments will do whatever is necessary to de-escalate. But at the same time, I'm afraid I do not see any sign thereof, that is, any sign on the part of either to de-escalate it. And this is my view is that this row is going to continue so long as Justin Trudeau remains the Prime Minister of Canada, and the elections are due next year, autumn, but it's possible that they might be advanced.
Right. Mr. Dasgupta, I just want to, try and understand what does it really mean for business between the two countries? Because as far as we understand, the bilateral merchandise trade between India and Canada actually grew a little bit from last year to now to almost about $8.5 billion. Do you see that getting impacted in any which way?
Well, I don't see that getting impacted at all. In terms of merchandise trade or the services trade. What can get affected in a small way could be investments, bilateral investments from the Canadian side to India and India to Canada. But this is something which we will have to live with, because diplomatic relations and very frosty relations which prevail at the moment and have prevailed, in fact, for the past few months or so. They do spell uncertainty, and they do inhibit investments to a certain extent. So I don't think trade will suffer, but investments may suffer.
Okay, would you concur with that assessment then, Mr. Fabian, with respect to investments actually suffering?
Well, let me put it this way. Investment has not suffered till now, thank God, and the Canadian pension funds are still investing. But if this crisis continues, then investment can be affected whenever, there is a renewal of the investment or fresh investment is concerned.
Fabian, since you have been a close observer of, how the bilateral ties between the two countries have been and what the political developments have been, what do you think is the root cause between this diplomatic row which we are seeing between India and Canada? because, you know, there are many an instances which are being quoted, and some are even drawing back to Justin Trudeau's India visit, and how did sort of, you know, did not really go down well with both Canadians and Indians.
Is that addressed to me?
Yes, Mr. Fabian.
Okay, now I was there 82, 85 at the time of the assassination of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, the Blue Star, and also Saniska. Now it's like this, you know, the Sikhs in Canada, they account only for a small portion of the population. In fact, if you look at the Indian community, they are about 36%, but they are very active politically. You know how they do it. If you are a Canadian contesting for the House of Commons, they will come and tell you, come, next Saturday, you can address 5,000 people if you come to our Gurudwara. You know, so they are very active. Now, among the Sikhs, a few of them, very small minority, are Khalistanis, pro-Khalistanis. And these pro-Khalistanis are even more active. So in other words, they command a political weight much in excess of their numerical strength. And the government of Justin Trudeau is dependent on their support. But at the same time, very recently, NPD, New Democratic Party, led by a Sikh who is openly pro-Khalistani, had withdrawn support from Trudeau, and there was a no confidence motion, and Trudeau was able to, defeat that motion. But Trudeau is doing it primarily for domestic survival. And also, I want to draw your attention to 18th of September 2023, when Prime Minister Trudeau said in the House of Commons that there were, quote, credible allegations, unquote, about the involvement of Indian agents in the murder of Niger, which had taken place in June. Now, the thing is this. In the same session of the House of Commons, the foreign minister said, she spoke after Trudeau, that RCMP was conducting an investigation. So my question to you, and through you to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, is, if there is an investigation on, why can't you wait for the conclusion of that investigation? Why do you want to speak of, quote, credible allegations? So obviously, Justin Trudeau has a personal political interest in doing things the way he has been doing, which I consider rather reckless.
Okay, thank you so much, gentlemen, for taking time out and joining in. And hopefully we can see the India-Canada diplomatic row only de-escalating from here on.
There comes a time when your heart calls for you to arise. Plant your feet solid into the ground. Decide your own limits, and then break right through them. Become something more. It's my time to rise.